Yeah, my life a living statement. You see that everything I'm doing now is sort of legacy resemble greatness. We about to build black cheddar, no that's forever. They act like we can only do that with paraphernalia. What happens when we see us come together and they see a threat? What happens when we get our money and we reinvest? What happens when we each can take $1,000 and we show them we can make a K-pop? Word to BTS, but this ain't Southern Korea. I'm talking making movements I know others are fear. Yeah, what good is it to know that they vultures if we condone it? What good is us to have all this culture if we don't own it? What good is us to have a community we ain't building? They gentrifying all of our neighborhoods and our buildings and we distracted on the weekend. They can see our value in our hood before we can. Eating nothing good, our immune system weakened. We need to grow our own food. Imagine pulling up and we owning our own Whole Foods. Lakeview the prototype. No, they try to tell us what we can't do. We show us light. They thought it was impossible. If Lakeview winning, we all winning. Rinse and repeat so all our people involved in it. And I know we in the days where everything by the cloud. I just want to engage and educate and empower. Hold it down. Yeah, hold it down. Yeah, Lakeview.
Hey, soulmates, it's DB with the Soul of a Man podcast. I'm here with my wonder twin brother, Chill. What's good, brother?
It's all good, bro.
That's all what I'm talking about. Hey, guys, we're here today with the brother. His name is Jamall Kinard, better known as the Black Coach K. We're two Tar Heel fans here, so we won't hold that Coach K against him. We know it has a different meaning as it relates to his line of work and his mission.
Well, kind of, sort of, because he does have a Duke tie, though.
Yeah, he does have a Duke tie. Come to find out, that was a requirement from some work he was doing. So, again, we won't hold that against him. Jamall is the founder and executive director of the Lakeview Community Alliance. It is a nonprofit that is geared towards helping a certain community in the West End or west side of Charlotte. I met Jamall. Actually, the first conversation I had was over the telephone with him. Didn't know him. Come to find out, it's a very small world. He's really good friends with a good friend of mine, and he's also a really good friend with my brother. So everyone who I've spoken with and said, hey, I'm meeting with Jamall, have had nothing but just raving remarks about him and the work he's doing in the community. Some people say he's a community activist. I think he's just even a bit more than that to the community. What I think is really dope is Jamall is from Newberry, South Carolina. I think he said he moved to Charlotte 14, 15 years ago. Yeah, 14, and he has adopted a community in Charlotte. Yep. There are people who live in communities all of their lives and won't adopt a community to do anything. Can't give back at all. Yeah. Where he's actually taken on this community, and he's making a huge difference in the community. You've heard enough from me. Without further ado, welcome to the Soul of a Man podcast, Jamall Kinard, the Black Coach K.
Yes, sir. I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for having me, man.
So, man, yeah, like we always do, brother, we sort of kick it off. Just to let you know, this is your episode, brother. Yes, there's nothing that's off limits as far as we're concerned. If we are saying something or asking a question that you can't answer, please feel free to let us know. We're cool with that. Yeah. But before we get started, just give us a little bit about your background, your upbringing, how you got here, and then we'll jump right into the Lakeview Community Alliance questions.
For sure, man. Jamall Kinard, as y'all mentioned, man. I'm a country boy. Small town dude with a big city hustle, as I like to say.
Gotcha.
Newberry, South Carolina, born and raised. During that time, man, sports was everything. You couldn't tell me that I wasn't going to be the next Derek Jeter or Ken Griffey Jr. So much so, man, I got the Griffey logo tatted on my arm, man. So baseball was everything growing up, man. And then when I become a man, learn more about the world, I realized, man, it's more of a responsibility to take care of your people. So nobody is coming to save us. It's going to have to be us organizing to make this thing happen. And I truly believe that an organized lie is more powerful than the disorganized truth.
Wow.
So I have to be an organizer of the truth and an organizer of the people in order to begin to organize the truth so we can, really get America to be who she says she is on paper. You know what I mean?
Man, so did you grow up in a traditional family setting?
Sure.
Mother,
Yeah.
father?
Yeah.
You have siblings?
Oh, yeah. I'm the son of Larry and Brenda Kinard, man. High school sweethearts, Newberry, South Carolina. My dad 2 years older than my mom. They met. My dad was a senior. My mom was a sophomore. And I'm one of four. I have an older sister, Taquala. Then me, Jamall. Then I got Carlton, my little brother. And then Trey. Trey's the youngest.
That's what's up. Shout out to the
Kennard
Kinard family,
Kennard
man.
family.
There's
I'll be going there
nothing
today.
better than
Yeah.
seeing a family unit
Oh, yeah.
where mom, dad, and all the siblings are there, man. That's amazing.
Still together, man. I tell everybody I was blessed to have a mother and a father truly be a team.
Yeah.
Never really saw them argue. They were always on the same page. And we talking about just good Southern roots. I had a chance to experience that.
Something about that good sweet tea.
Yeah,
down
that
there.
good sweet tea.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yes, sir.
Well,
Yes, sir.
I mentioned fraternity brother of mine is from Union.
Union, South
And,
Carolina.
and you said
yeah.
Union's pretty close to
Oh,
where,
yeah,
where
about
you
30,
were.
35 minutes away.
So rural?
Rural South Carolina. Man.
Okay,
We're
okay.
talking about farming, you're talking about cows. My daddy, he grew up on the dirt road, Kinard Road. So Charlotte version of me is Kinard, right?
Right.
Fun fact, if you go to my hometown, they're going to say Jamall Kinard. You see how country
Kinard.
that sound though? You know what I mean? Kinard. So
Okay.
if I come home, they see people say on TV Jamall Kinard, they like, oh, you done turned into a city slicker now, huh? So it's still when I get home, man, it's Jay Kinard, man, and they call all my family Kinards down there. But my dad, he was the first one who dreamed in the family. My dad is a insurance in the financial services industry.
Okay.
And he was the first one in this family to really become an entrepreneur in that way, make six figures in a year. So I was very fortunate to grow up with my dad working in this company called Primerica, rubbing elbows with other 100,000aires, millionaires, black men wearing suits on a Tuesday and Wednesday, and it wasn't Sunday, talking about dreams, driving Jaguars, Mercedes, BMWs, and just talking about dreams. So always appreciative to my pops for that, giving us something to aspire to and being a different example of a black man in my hometown.
That's what's
Fantastic.
up.
Yeah.
So what made you decide to come to Charlotte? So what was your path here?
So, like I said, I played baseball in college.
Okay.
Newberry College my freshman year. Stayed home, went to school. My coach ended up getting fired. So I went to Newberry College just to play for him. And I left there, went to Spartanburg Methodist, which is a JUCO. Played there for a year. We was number 4 in the nation, real good. And then I got recruited to play baseball by Gardner-Webb University, which is in Cleveland County, Boiling Springs, right outside of Shelby, North Carolina. And we used to go out to Charlotte for college night.
Right.
And country boy for me, I'm seeing the skyscrapers like, oh man, this is beautiful, man. And I just told myself, like, when I graduate, I'm coming to Charlotte. So I had an opportunity to go to spring training with the Philadelphia Phillies. So I came to Charlotte to live with my homeboy Webb and his dad Kermit. And I was training. And a week before I was supposed to leave to go to spring training, they called and canceled. So I ended up signing an independent baseball deal with the Frontier League. Went and played ball at Ypsilanti, Michigan. Tore my labrum in my right shoulder. So that pretty much ended my career. When I came back, I started my career in education at J.T. Williams Middle School as a teacher. And that's what kind of spurred me to come into Black Coach K today.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
So what position did you play in baseball?
Man, high school, shortstop second. When I got to college, I was playing more center field and right field. But so I just run them down. Speed was my game.
Gotcha.
Yeah, speed was my game for sure. Yeah, for
Really
sure.
following G down.
Oh, yeah, I was there. Yeah, Jeter Griffith, those are my two, and Barry Bonds. I still think Barry Bonds the greatest to ever do it.
Hands down.
I think they try to, take his stats away about the steroid thing and stuff like that. But to me, even before that scandal started, to hit 30 home runs and steal 30 bases consistently like he was, I don't think nobody's better than Barry Bonds.
I would agree. Steroids don't help your hand-eye coordination.
At all. Yes, sir.
No, that's good stuff. So you move here to Charlotte.
Yeah.
You jump into the education space.
Yep.
JT Williams, that's interesting. We got a connection there.
Yeah.
My ex-wife, my stepson, went to JT Williams for a minute.
Okay.
Yeah,
JT,
so
man.
I'm really familiar with that.
Gotcha.
So then you decided, you're an educator. Something in the education system drove you to say, you know what? There's something bigger than this.
Yeah.
But I can still have the same impact or greater.
Yeah.
I want to start this nonprofit.
For sure.
How'd you get there?
So as a teacher, I started off being a tutor, EOG in the grade 2. While I was training to playing baseball, I was tutoring at JT before I left to go to spring training. And when I got back, the principal heard that I was back in town. Funny thing, man, I was working at CPCC as a troubleshooting lab technician. So I got my degree in computer science, my undergrad. So I was doing like troubleshooting there. The principal heard that I was back in town. That morning, something told me to wear a suit to work. Don't know what it was, intuition, God, the God in me. I wore a suit to work. They called me and said, Mr. Kinard, I heard you back in town. Can you come in today for an interview for a position, lateral entry teaching position for career and technical education? Had my suit on, had access to a printer, printed off my resume, came in for the interview, got the job on the spot. So that started my career in education. So taught there 2.5 years, and I moved to the counselor life coach role with an organization called Communities in School. And I was at Philip O'Berry Independence High School. 4 years at Philip O'Berry as a site coordinator and the head baseball coach. I coached football there too. Then I started at Independence coaching baseball there with one of my college teammates, Daniel Cook, and being the site coordinator there. But while in education, man, beginning of the year, kids came to school excited about learning, fresh, ready to go, had all these aspirations for the year.
Yeah.
By the end of the year, they hated school. The sparkle in their eye was gone. And I was like, man, why does this continue to happen? Then we started doing home visits. And I began to understand this thing called concentrated poverty, right? It's one thing to be poor, but to have all these things like public housing and people concentrated in one area who are poor, you compound all the problems of being poor, right? So that was the first thing, right? The second thing was this report came out in Charlotte. Well, it came out nationally, but Charlotte was inside the study. Raj Chetty in the Harvard School of Research was studying this thing called upward economic mobility, meaning if you're born in poverty, what's the percentage of the likelihood for you to move out of poverty? And so they studied the top 50 cities in America. Charlotte was on that list, and Charlotte came in dead last. Meaning if you're born in poverty in Charlotte, you only have a 4.6% chance of moving out of poverty. So now I began to do some thinking. I said, wait a minute, Charlotte is like, what, top 3 banking centers in the nation?
Yep.
And we give away billions of dollars in philanthropic giving every year.
Yep.
So that means trillions of dollars is flowing into Charlotte each and every day, and it's not getting to the hands of the people that truly need it. Now we stop pointing the blame at people and realize that it's something systemic happening. And then I had the nerve to go to this Racial Equity Institute training. I'm pretty sure y'all from Greensboro, y'all know about that. Dina Hayes Green, Monica Walker, Suzanne Plizik. Those are 3 of my mentors, and I think 3 of the most powerful women I ever met in my life when it comes to really being an organizer of truth. And the last day,
there in Greensboro.
They're in Greensboro. And the last day of that training, Suzanne was the trainer that day. I'm sitting on the seat and I can't move because I'm floored. I'm mad of everything I just learned. And I couldn't move. And she, Suzanne is a white lady, electric gray hair. She always wear black. So we call her the Oracle, right? So she was over there in the room, and then before you know it, she was right there in front of me, right? And she picked my head up. She said, Jamall, are you not going to go home? I said, Suzanne, how do you expect me to go home and do my job after I heard what I just heard? She said, Jamall, I expect you to go home and do your job even better now. And I expect you to go home and start organizing in your community. I left that day, started knocking on doors in my neighborhood, and that led to the founding and the operating of Lakeview Neighborhood Alliance. That's how it happened.
So, man, it's crazy, brother. And congratulations to you,
Appreciate
first of all, on that, man. And a big thank you, brother, because we need that. So let's talk about the politics. And I didn't want to get into it this early.
Let's do it.
But here I am.
Let's do it.
When you think about Charlotte.
Yes, sir.
And as some people call it, the state of Mecklenburg.
There you go.
Because Charlotte's a pretty interesting place, man. Having lived here for, I don't know, 10, 15 years. Charlotteans are cut from a different cloth.
For sure.
And you can't tell Charlotte that it's not the capital of North Carolina.
Without a doubt.
But I'm here to tell you, you're wrong. It's not. It's Raleigh. So you have all of this economic resource here.
Yeah.
The banking system.
Yeah.
You know, you have all this philanthropic giving, and I can drop the names.
Yeah.
I won't do it, but I can.
Yeah.
You have certain sectors of the city, certain sides that are flourishing. You drive through and your mouth will drop.
For sure.
But then you rank 50th on this study, on this list.
Yes.
I wonder, how can people of affluence, people of power, especially in the political realm, be so proud of that, but then when you fall 50th on this list, turn the blind eye to it? Because it's really a stain against Charlotte,
for sure.
honestly.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts? And we'll get into the political realm just a bit more, because for what you do, you have to be, you have to have an understanding of legislation. That's right. You have to understand who the key political players are.
Without a doubt.
But where do you see the target being missed as it relates to that?
Yeah. I think we haven't made power visible. One thing I learned from the Racial Equity Institute, we would say a lot, when power is invisible, racism thrives. When power is invisible, racism thrives, right? So if you don't mark power and make it visible, racism will continue to thrive in a way that you won't even see it, right? So one of the things we would do, we would mark power. One way we would do it is say, look at like a UNC Chapel Hill versus a North Carolina A&T. UNC Chapel Hill is called a PWI. But we got the nerve to call A&T a HBCU, which I'm cool with. But if we're saying that is historically black, which I think it was founded like 1898, somewhere around
1891.
1891, sorry about that.
That's okay.
Let me get that right. But you had Chapel Hill that was founded in, I think, 1751, right? They didn't have the first black student until 1951. Wow. So to leave out the historical piece for Chapel Hill, it was a historically and exclusively white institution, right? And that's why the endowment now is $3-4 billion versus A&T that's still in the millions, right? And people will say, well, that just means alumni from HBCUs don't give back. And it's like, no, that's not true. Right. It's actually, and the statistics show that alumni from HBCUs give back more according to their earning potential than people who graduate from HWIs, right? It's just that compound interest of having so many years on the monopoly board before we even got a chance to play. Right. So you have to mark that. So you look at Myers Park in Charlotte, right? That was heavily invested in, right? And because Myers Park, their residents wanted easy access to work, they built the 277 loop right through the Brooklyn neighborhood, right? So if you invest all that money into Myers Park and you don't invest it into Brooklyn, you displace those people and you make promises to rebuild the neighborhoods, but you never do. Is there even any coincidence why black people in Charlotte are in this position? Only 4.6% chance to move out of poverty, when you got a whole plethora and a whole variety of wealth. Ballantyne, Myers Park, South Park, because those areas were heavily invested in systemically through legislation and through political practices. That's the thing that we have to make visible in Charlotte, that they don't want to do that, because now it holds everybody accountable. And now we have to begin to redistribute the wealth and redistribute power. And who wants to give up power?
Right. And it's funny how that cycle has perpetuated itself, because when they built 277, you had that, then you build 77 for the people out in Huntersville and those, Davidson and all those places
to get to the city.
Easy access to the city.
All the
then we're going to do you one better. We're going to build a light rail.
There you go.
And by the way, we're going to bypass y'all with the light rail.
There you go.
So they made it real easy for people to get into downtown. The funny thing is, those people who lived downtown Charlotte moved out. But they gave them easy access to downtown.
So they can work.
So they could work.
And now they're coming back for the neighborhoods that are close to downtown.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, man. So it's a Malcolm X said, one of his famous quotes, that racism is like Cadillac, a new version comes out every year. So we have to mark power. We have to be aware of how racism works so that we can continue to be on the breast of how it mutates and transforms over the years. Because if we still doing the sit-ins and stuff that our ancestors did, that form of racism is already over. It's a new form that we have to be abreast to now so that we can combat this one and plan what's going to happen 10 years down the road too.
We spoke a minute before we started this, and I was just sharing with you in a role that I was in Greensboro. Had an opportunity to be in the room at the table.
Yeah.
But I was one.
That's right.
And I was amazed at what I saw and heard as someone who, when I was living in Greensboro before 20 years ago, wasn't heavily involved in the political process.
For sure.
At that age, wasn't on boards. At that age, didn't have the network of people of power in the city. So I'm sitting in these rooms saying my community, in some cases, knows nothing about what is going on in the city. And a step further, the few people that are really making the decisions running the city.
Yeah.
Man, we have 4 questions that we ask. I do a lot of training for trust-based philanthropy and racial equity training. And to help frame the conversation, we ask people 4 questions. We say, number 1, we look at neighborhoods of concentrated poverty, and we're defining the issues that take place there. Who gets to define the issues that we will address? Is it the people in the neighborhood or the people that work in the system? People that work in the system.
Right.
Once we address or figure out the issue that we're going to be addressed, who creates the program that's going to help solve the problem? Is it the people in the neighborhood or the people in the system? People in the system again. Who does the hiring of the staff that's going to work the program? The people in the system. Who does the evaluation on whether the program was effective or not? The people in the system. So you have pretty much rendered the people in the neighborhood powerless. And you put them in a very dependent state to where they don't even feel like they can act. Power is the ability to act and the ability to define your reality and be responsive to your needs. But if you've been told generationally that we as a government, we as a nonprofit will do that for you, you don't even feel like you have any power in order to begin to do that. So we have taken the power away. So what we're talking about, y'all, is really power. People are not poor because they lack goods, services, and resources. People are poor because they lack power. And that was what our ancestors was really fighting for. But I think integration was one of the worst things that ever happened to us as a people. One of the worst things, because it took away our economic base. We started riding the white bus line. We started going to the white stores. And now we don't go to the black-owned organizations who was taking care of us for years. And that was birthed the Walmart. That's what birthed Target. And now how can we create a store now to compete with those 2 juggernauts? They're too big to fail. And that's what the system of America creates.
So I don't want to get away from this. We'll get back.
Let's
but
do it.
I got to hear about the great work, or we got to hear about the great work you're doing with Lakeview Community Alliance.
Gotcha.
So what does that represent? What services do you and products and whatnot do you guys offer?
And just as even a precursor to that, how did you even get to the decision of deciding I'm going to start this nonprofit?
Yeah. So going through those things I talked about earlier, being in the school system, working with kids, that report coming out, and the REI, the workshop. When I started organizing in my neighborhood, you get with residents and you realize, oh man, these people really do want to do something. They just don't actually know how to do it, right? Or don't have the time, because I got my grandma, she on dialysis. I got these bills I got to pay. I got to work 2 and 3 jobs. Got to get these kids in school, summer camp, stuff like that. So we had these meetings. We had this community engagement series. And during that community engagement series, we met with the residents every Saturday during April and May. And when we did that, we had good old-fashioned cookouts. We just cook food outside, let the smell of the food permeate throughout the neighborhood. People looking outdoors, what y'all doing out there. We just sat down and talked to them. And after that time, we realized that people do want an organization, But they need somebody to go out there, learn about the resources, the funds, the services that is out there. They also need somebody in here to meet with the residents to know what the issues are so that we can connect people to the resources. So we created that infrastructure, and they said, okay, Jamall, we want you to be the ED. I said, no, not me. Because I was getting ready to take a job to become a scout with the Cincinnati Reds. I was about to move to Houston, Texas, man. But once I went to REI, I just felt compelled to stay. Yeah. So they hired me as an executive director. We hired another young lady as a community engagement liaison, and we took off. So today, we are a staff of 11, including myself. We have board members. We have 15 board members. 51% of all board members have to be residents. Mm-hmm. The executive director has to be a resident, and we try to hire most people for the organization within the neighborhood. We have to go out and get some specialized skills, but we try to focus on building with them we're in. But LNA, Lakeview Neighborhood Alliance, we consider ourselves to be a community impact organization.
Got it.
IMPACT is an acronym that stands for Individuals Making Progress and Change Together. Individuals making progress and change together. All those individuals that come together to form LNA are all residents and stakeholders of Lakeview. And we've organized ourselves around a 3E strategic plan. Those 3 E's are engage, educate, and empower. And within that strategic plan, we have a short-term responsive and a long-term strategic plan. Short-term responsive, we focus on 4 main things each and every day: child and family stability, prevention of displacement, economic mobility, civic awareness, which is political education. Yep. Long-term strategic is we're trying to create an ecosystem that can be sustained and be the model for other neighborhoods of concentrated poverty to follow. For a neighborhood to become a true community, you have to own and operate at least 4 main things. That's a banking and savings institution, supermarket, healthcare center, and a vocational school. If you got those 4 things,
I need
okay,
you to repeat that.
for it. So you got bankers and savings, you got a supermarket, you got a healthcare center, and a vocational school. If you can own and operate those 4 things, now you can create an economy to where you're not dependent on grants, on sponsorships, on all these funding from outside. You can build from within, and that what builds power.
This is the definition of what Black Wall Street was all about.
There you go.
Because they had all of that.
There you go.
So here's the struggle in that. The residents would not have the resources to create financial institutions, build a health facility, build a grocery store, etc. So where are those financial resources going to come from to do so?
I will combat it. I think we do.
Okay.
Malcolm X says we're not outnumbered, we out organized. We got to get organized.
Here's what I will also say.
We got to get organized.
Even if the residents don't,
Yeah.
there's enough of us who've moved away
There you go.
from the residents
There you
that
go.
should actually be
There
sewing
you
back.
go. Hey, Darren, you just hit the nail on the head, man. And that's what we're trying to build. We're trying to create ways to make it easy for people who have moved away, who are passionate about the neighborhoods that they came from, to be able to give back and reinvest in what we're doing. And we're trying to install a different paradigm into the youth to say, hey, you no longer have to make it out of your neighborhood. You can go to school, get your degrees, get your skills, and come back and reinvest and continue to build. Because one thing that we were told that white people wasn't told was to move out of your neighborhood. Our neighborhoods are powerful. Our neighborhoods are lucrative. Our neighborhoods are attractive to people, because if they wasn't, we wouldn't be experiencing the gentrification that we're experiencing now. So how come they can see the value in the neighborhood,
But we can't.
but we can't? Yeah.
There's a show that I actually watched. It's the first episode on, you follow the Earn Your Leisure guys?
Yes, sir.
Called
Yes, sir.
Buying
Yes.
Back the Block.
There you go.
Yeah, and I think, man, what these cats are doing, I think it's 30 minutes a week that it comes on Wednesdays or whatever.
Yeah.
They're going back into these neighborhoods, and they're buying up these neighborhoods, and they're hiring the people who live in the neighborhoods to come fix the houses and do the work and everything else.
There you go.
And I think we got to get a lot more of that, man.
We got to get that. We're trying to go a little bit different route. We're going more of the cooperative route.
Okay. Hey, guys, this is DB with the Silver Man Podcast. Hey, we really appreciate you guys rocking with us all these months. The feedback has been amazing. We hope to continue to bring you amazing content. We need a huge, huge favor from you, though. We need you to like. I think that like button is somewhere right here. We need you to share. I think it's right here maybe. And we need you to subscribe. Come on, guys. Keep rocking with us and share this content. And we want to reach millions. We appreciate you.
Instead of the capitalistic route, I think we should share in the responsibility and we should also share in the profit. Just because I'm the brainchild, I'm the executive director, the CEO, that doesn't mean I should be making significantly more money than the person on the ground doing the work. And I'm not always the leader, because take Jeff Bezos for a minute, right? He's a billionaire. We give him all these praise. But when the last time Jeff Bezos drove a truck and delivered your product to your house within 48 hours? He don't do that, right? So why are you getting paid so much more than that person that's delivering and guaranteeing that 48-hour delivery, right? And I just think that's a capitalistic way that has drove us to place value on wealth, and we don't value skilled laborers. So Claude Anderson has a book called Black Labor, White Wealth. And I think a lot of us as black people, we begin to follow that model, but it's still very exploitive, right? So I think we got to find a way to really even the playing field, work together in a cooperative faction, and sharing the responsibility and sharing the profit for the whole.
No, that's good stuff, man.
That's what we're trying to do.
So, location of Lakeview,
Yes,
for
sir.
those who don't know.
West Side.
West Side.
West Side Charlotte, baby. Yeah.
Near Johnson C. Smith.
Near Johnson C. Smith.
Beatties Ford Road.
Well, Beatties Ford, Rogers Ferry. We right off Rogers Ferry.
So they run parallel.
Yep, parallel to each other. Yep. Talk to me.
So here I go.
Talk to me.
For those who don't know,
Yeah.
Beatties Ford Road has been for years the ecosystem for blacks in Charlotte. That whole stretch of Beatties Ford Road.
There you go.
If you drive up and down Beatties Ford Road, you'll see a couple things. You'll see your check cashing places.
Okay.
You'll see your liquor stores. Yeah. You'll see your stores that sell Lucy's.
Yeah.
Those are single cigarettes for those who don't know. And then you'll see 3 of the largest black churches in the city of Charlotte.
You will.
The problem I've always had with that, and this doesn't diminish my belief in God,
That's right. Not
Christ,
Not at all.
my faith, my spirituality, none of that.
Right.
This is just when it comes down to brass taxes.
For sure.
You have the 3 largest black churches in the city of Charlotte on that stretch of highway or road. Yeah. There was no reason for it to look the way it did.
No doubt.
With that kind of money. If you look at the parking lot at those 3 black churches on any given Sunday or Wednesday, the parking lot alone tells you that there's some money in there.
There you go.
Or either that or a lot of Negroes fronting.
There you go. There you go.
That's number 1. Number
go.
2, I think those 3 institutions were more concerned about running their numbers up terms of size of congregation than they were actually bringing the people walking up and down Beatties Ford Road into the church.
Definitely.
Number 3, I'm on a soapbox.
Yeah,
they did nothing.
Come on.
And I can say that with fair certainty to empower the people on Beatties Ford Road from an economic standpoint.
Sure.
Let's think about it. If the 3 of us, we're each one of those churches. If we said instead of Mike worrying about his congregation, Darren worrying about his or raising his numbers, Jamall, you're worrying about raising your numbers. Yeah. Let's get together and say, let's buy X on Beatties Ford Road, and that's going to be our first piece.
There you go.
What we're going to do is take that first piece and turn it into whatever that looks like, and we're going to hire the people that's walking up and down the street.
There you go.
Then we're going to buy the next one, and then the next one. And it's going to be some type of, joint venture, cooperative between the 3, church, religious institutions.
You just said it.
And then Beatties Ford Road becomes ours. Well, it was already ours. It remains ours.
There you go.
That didn't happen.
That didn't happen.
So now the same people, some of our friends who grew up on Beatties Ford Road, went to West Charlotte.
Yep.
Some people that we know, some of our friends probably can afford to live there, but there's some people that they know and went to school with who can no longer afford to live on Beatties Ford Road.
That's right.
My brother, who's an avid cycler.
Okay. Dope.
He was riding his bike with a group, and he said, D, I knew Beatties Ford Road had changed when I saw a white woman jogging with a dog.
You already know.
when you see Becky
That's
drinking
the symbol.
pumpkin spice lattes and jogging with their dogs,
That's the symbol.
that's a symbol right there.
That
Yeah, gentrification is set in.
There you go.
So I say all of that, man, to say, what do you think from the pulpit, the spiritual, the church institutions that could have been done and that still can be done to help our communities?
Yeah. Well, like you said, I'm glad you put that context in there. Have nothing to do about your faith. We're not downplaying nobody's religion. I think people have the freedom to choose that, and I want to make sure I honor that, because whatever brings you peace in your household, I want you to do that. Now, from a political and economic standpoint, you're right. You're talking about 3 major churches on Beatties Ford Road: Friendship, University Park, House of Prayer. Like if those 3 were to come together, imagine the good that they can do. Yeah. At the same time, we got to take into the context of the time. We told our people to hope and pray. To hope and pray. We Bible beat them over the head because we believe that if we pray hard enough, Jesus was coming back to save us, right? And not saying that he's not, in the future, but while we're here, he also gave us common sense. I spoke at the church that partnered with us, Faith Memorial Baptist Church, and I talk about God didn't give us a spirit of fear. He gave us a spirit of power, love, and a sound mind. So we should be using those 3 to build up our economy, build up our next political leaders, to put our media out there that's constructive, that's going to feed the minds of our people, the education. We should be doing all of these things to feed the minds of our people and raise our youth up in the way we want them to go. And we just haven't did that, and I think partially because we just didn't know, and partially because, white America, white supremacy, capitalism is always studying us and figure out ways they can get to us, right? So there's this thing that was launched called the Faith-Based Initiative. It started the whole mega church movement, right? When we was growing up, South Carolina, if you had a congregation of 50 to 100 people, you were doing real good. And then we saw this explosion like the early 2000s where it went to 500, 1,000, 5,000. You got virtual sermons, and you're like, where's this money coming from? You got these big churches popping up out of nowhere. They begin to receive some of those funds from the government that was under Bush, his administration. So if you receive those funds, you can't say anything politically no more, right? So we saw the church leading the civil rights movement in the 60s and 70s, and now in the 2000s, because of the faith-based initiative, they can't do any of that stuff. They're not handcuffed because they took those funds. So I think that played a part in it, and it played a part in just telling us, hey, man, hope and pray.
I will tell you this, and you're right. So you took that, the new alphabet, boys, the FBI, faith-based initiative. Take that money. Now you have to shut your mouth as it relates to anything that is political. But the one thing, it's funny, a lot of these churches didn't do is, let me back up. The one thing they did is they would go out and speak out against homosexuality.
For sure.
And because certain political parties at that point in time were speaking out against it, that's actually how they won the election.
For sure.
The Bush administration.
For sure.
So you can speak out against homosexuality, and again, I don't care. That's your thing, however you feel about it.
For sure.
But you can't speak out against racism.
There you go.
And poverty.
There you
Things
go.
that have been killing black people in this country forever. That's interesting.
Yeah. We was taught. So we do this exercise when we do training. We talk about, if I'm a black leader, one thing that America does to perpetuate the system, we have this thing called tokenism. Right, we will put a black face or a woman face or a LGBTQ face in a position of power and say, okay, look at what we did. We got the symbol. We've hired our first black person ever in 2023, and we have this big story, and we make all this noise about it. But if I'm a black, the head of a black nonprofit that does mentoring for young black men, and I truly believe that the young black men are the reason why they're in the situation, I blame them. Am I going to perpetuate the problem, or I'm going to solve the problem? Right. I'm going to perpetuate it no matter what strategies I come up with, what plans, because culture eats strategy for lunch. right? If I believe that you are the problem, I'm going to continue to blame you, and I'm going to create programs to try to fix you. No, diagnosis determines treatment, right? You can't blame a saltwater fish for being in a freshwater pond if they even put it for that, right? Saltwater fish swim in packs. Right. Black people, we were made to be communal.
Yes.
Freshwater fish, they swim by themselves. But if you take enough saltwater fish and you put them in a freshwater pond, after a while, they start acting like freshwater fish. And then when a new saltwater fish get there, he like, fam, we supposed to be together. And you like, no, we're trying to tell you who you are.
Yeah.
But we don't get that. So I think a lot of times is we don't know. Right? Monica Walker, one of the trainers of Racial Equity Institute, she would say, we don't know enough. And if we don't know enough, we done told to sit down and just go to work, keep your head down, do those things, and you're not learning. We wasn't taught this in school. Right. You see what's going on now with CRT, which I hate that term. Yeah. Critical race theory. No, this is a fact.
Right.
A theory is something that I'm thinking could be true, right? Yeah. No, these are historical facts that took place. Y'all burned down Wilmington. Yeah. They said Wilmington would have survived when it was a black city. It'll be equivalent today as Atlanta is for black people.
Yeah, I mean, think about critical race theory. You need a hypothesis.
Yes,
you need all
think about that.
No, you don't need a hypothesis. To know that our history had slavery. That our people were killed. There's no hypothesis needed for that. Those are actual facts.
There you go, man. So we say 246 years of chattel slavery. At the end of that time, our people were worth an estimated $63 billion. And that's just estimated. That ain't including all the patents and stuff that we had created that they took the credit for, right? After that, we now have another 100 years of Jim Crow. 75 of those years, they said there's a recorded 4,000 lynchings that took place. That's enough for one person to get lynched per week. Nobody went to jail. We even got pictures of white people around these bodies while they were burned and hanged and having picnics and food and smiling, and nobody went to jail. So you know who committed the crime.
Right.
Even if you don't know who did it, you know who was accessory to the crime. They saw it, right? And nobody went to jail, right? So that's 346 years we was either in slavery or in Jim Crow. We only been out of that kind of enslavement or kind of oppression for about 58 years. That's 87% of this country's history. We was in some type of oppression. And today we're still dealing with the achievement gap, healthcare disparities, historically underutilized businesses, racial and ethnic disparities. And now we expect this stuff just to be over because we threw a lot of money at a problem to a nonprofit. No, America did something systemically to get us in this situation. Therefore, America has to do something systemically to get us out.
What do you think, because what the way America looks to solve this problem is, let me throw you some welfare.
There you go.
Let me throw you some assistance and some support.
Right.
But while I'm doing that, let me tell you what you can't do.
There you go.
So if I'm going to throw you this welfare or this support, you can't have a black man in the house.
There you go.
So as much as they, quote unquote, want to try to help solve the problem, they're actually perpetuating the problem.
Let me sip some water for this one.
Sip your water, brother. They want to take us out of the house. They also want to paint this narrative that black men, and I'm just going to say this, here I go again.
There we go.
They've gotten into the ears of sisters.
For sure.
To help them even tell this story
about
what black men aren't doing.
Without a doubt.
But here's the deal. That's not true. We're the most involved race of people with our kids.
There you go.
We're meeting here in Charlotte this weekend.
There you go.
With 5 or 6 brothers who are absolutely killing the game.
That's right.
So that narrative that they're painting is all wrong.
That's right.
It's all wrong.
That's right. We live in a country where narratives are more important than facts.
Man.
And we don't know enough of the facts in order to really combat the narratives, right? So Dr. Umar, he has this kind of 60s to the 2000 way of explaining what happened. In the 60s, right? Civil rights era. We got a lot of major wins in the 60s, right? The Civil Rights Bill, affirmative action, the Fair Housing Act, the Voting Rights Bill. But at the end of the 60s, all the leaders who led those movements are gone. And not only gone, they were assassinated. MLK, JFK, RFK, Malcolm X, Medgar Evers, Fred Hampton, and even the ladies, Angela Davis was pretty much silenced even though she won her trial. And Assata Shakur was exiled from the country, right? So all the major leaders who was pushing for this to happen are gone. In the 70s, Richard Nixon get elected president. And now he starts this war on drugs. Hold a minute. Where the drugs coming from? I've never seen no cocoa leaf plant in the back of in the back of my neighbor's house in Lakeview. So where is it coming in from, right? They're coming in from these white mobs and gangs that you were in bed with and economically, right? So, and that's the pot calling the kettle black because you were involved in Watergate and you didn't spend one day in jail. But you put these policies in place that sent thousands and millions of black men to jail, right? And then after that, they unleashed blitzkrieg on us. When Reagan came in with the crack era, right? So at the end of Nixon, he said, hey, we're going to take the trades and stuff out of the high schools. We're going to send the factory jobs overseas. That's what happened to Detroit, right? So now our grandparents who was learning how to weld, home ec, sew, cook in high school, they're no longer getting those trades, and these things fed us and kept us alive in our neighborhood. Vocational trades, right? Again, vocational school, we got to own and operate that. So now you're taking those trades out of school, and you're telling everybody to do what? Go to college. Who can afford to go to college? So now you go to college, you incur what? Student loan debt, right? Now you bring crack into the neighborhood, right? And now the young brothers who could have been fathers, who could have been husbands, they're now strung out on drugs. They're in jail.
Or dead.
Or they dead, right? So Ronald Reagan, when he was elected, he said that he will create thousands of new jobs in these neighborhoods. And he didn't lie.
Drug dealers.
They were just drug dealers. We created capitalists in our own neighborhoods. So now I'm more worried about the dollar than I am more worried about the people in my neighborhood. So it went from family to I'm going to do me and you do you.
And then he all of a sudden comes down with dementia. He
there you
can't
go.
Remember anything.
He can't remember nothing. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Crazy,
and then
crazy.
He has a fall guy by the name of Oliver North.
There you go. There you go, man.
And
so the 80s, that happened, right? So now you're putting women in a very uncompromising situation, right? And this is the first time that women were really affected by drugs because crack ran through. It wasn't just affecting the men, it was also affecting women, right? So now you introduce welfare.
They gave us welfare and kissed us farewell.
Come on now. So now you're telling women, hey, this man is no longer here. And it's his fault that he's no longer here. Not their fault for putting the drugs in the neighborhood. It's his fault. Look at how your man left you. So now you're going to be married to the government. We're going to take care of you. You get these benefits. But you cannot have a man there. You can't have a man-sized shoe. You can't have a man-sized shirt. You can't have shaving cream. Anything that symbolizes a man staying in your house. We take these benefits, no questions asked. So now you have a strategic pool in a 40-year period of people out of family unit with each other, right? So that's what happened to us. And that has perpetuated the narrative of independent woman.
Here's what I'm going to say. I'm going to jump right in there really quick.
Come on.
So everybody we've talked about, Bush, Reagan, they've been Republicans. But I ain't letting the Dems off the hook.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no.
Let's march Mr. Bill Clinton in.
He did the crime bills.
Come on.
The crime bills, man. Him and Joe Biden. They architected that. Now, in Bill's and them defense, Bill got on TV, I think, right when Obama was about to get elected. And he said, all the black leaders in the room, the Al Sharptons and that whole group, he said, this is what y'all told me to do, though. Y'all told me that y'all wanted these people off your streets, that you wanted it to be cleaned up. You didn't tell me you wanted rehab centers. Y'all said lock them up, throw them in jail.
3 strikes.
3 strikes, you out. Mandatory minimums. And you thought that this was going to clean up the streets, but you look up and all the fathers, the husbands, the potential for black women are now gone. So it ain't that black women are undesirable, which I think that was the message that a lot of black women received. You are now married to the system that took your potential husbands and mates away from you. But because you get these benefits, man, I call it diabolical genius. It's diabolical genius to engineer the things that they did to our people. And the fact that we still here lets us know how strong we truly are.
Yeah.
Because I don't think we have truly done an assessment of how crack really decimated.
Right.
Our
I mean, you
neighborhoods.
talking latchkey kids.
Yeah.
That's when babies started having babies
Yeah,
because the mom wasn't at home because she had to go to work.
Oh yeah,
Man.
Oh yeah.
Crack did a number on us.
I did a number on us, man. And welfare, it's both ends. You can't talk about one without the other.
the other.
And so affirmative action, I think it's been repealed in 10 states.
Yeah.
Right? But by the numbers, affirmative action has helped white women the most.
The most. Think about DEI.
Think about that. DEI,
Same with DEI.
right,
It's helped
man.
white women the most.
The most, man.
Black
The
folks
most.
ain't benefit. I mean, I should say we haven't benefited.
Yeah, the
But
most.
we haven't benefited the most from DEI.
No, not at all. It's been white women. It's been LGBTQ, and again, I think they should have their right to fight for their rights too. But we can't say that it's doing something for a group of people that it's not.
it's not.
And again, it's going back to that narrative. We live in a country where narratives are more important than facts.
You take affirmative action away, and people are like, "Well, our kids now go to HBCUs."
Right.
They do realize that HBCUs don't have the infrastructure to house and take care of all the black kids that want to go to HBCUs. And we attended the largest HBCU in the country.
For sure.
They had 40,000 applications this year.
Wow.
They have almost 14,000 students.
Wow. 40,000?
40,000.
Wow.
You got to have a 3.75 GPA at a minimum. Let's think about if they could just bump that up to 20,000 people that they could have.
For sure.
They don't have the infrastructure.
That's right.
Most HBCUs don't even have the proper high-speed internet.
There you go. To all the people.
So kid trying to play a video game and do the homework at the same time can't do it. So man, they know what they're
it's tough. Yeah, it's tough. It's very systemic, man, and it's a intentional pull away from the family unit, and it's an intentional pull away from black men economic power. You shifted the order, right? So now, again, I'm proud of black women.
Love
right?
them.
I'm proud of them.
them.
I think the worst thing we ever told our black women to be was strong.
Man.
I think the worst thing we ever told them to be was strong. I think they felt like they had to deal with what they went through, but I wish they would see that, hey, it wasn't us. The same game that got played on y'all
Got played on.
got played on us in a different way. So how can we come together to form a plan to combat it instead of always pointing the blame at each other?
We talked about this on one of our on one of our earlier episodes where the blame game needs to come to an end.
It got to.
We need to love each other.
We need to love each other, man.
Take this BS off TV where we're arguing. Take it off social media.
It's crazy, man.
We have got to bring this thing back together.
You got to bring it together.
Sisters have been strong enough, and brothers have got to be strong enough to realize that, you know what? My wife is the real deal.
There you go.
I
for
might
sure.
need to take this back seat a
There
little
you go.
bit from
For
her,
sure.
let her run this.
No doubt about it.
Because she's made it a little bit further than I have with education
about
and everything else.
No doubt about
Because
it.
I have been locked up or I've been
right.
put away or whatever else.
Right.
Bro, swallow your ego, swallow your pride.
Agreed.
Let's all step up.
Agreed.
And if my wife is going to take the lead on something and I think she's better at this than I am,
Agreed.
honey, have at it. But I'm here.
I agree.
I ain't going nowhere.
I totally agree. I think we have, again, narrative. We made it seem like women don't have egos. Everybody got ego, right?
Women got some of the bigger.
Just as much as men have to swallow the ego, women got to do the same
Same
thing.
thing.
Yes, baby, you have your degree, you got your master's degree. I might only have a high school education or a vocational skill trade certification, but that don't mean you need to disrespect me.
Don't emasculate.
That don't mean don't emasculate me. And I think one young lady I was dating at the time, she said, Jamall, I had to realize that men have feelings. I said, wait a minute. She said, yeah, I didn't think men had feelings. I'm like, whoa. Yeah. You know how deep that socialization is to where you have all the feelings and a man, we don't have feelings. And then you see men, we perpetuate that narrative too. I think I saw Shaq on the pivot. He said, I ain't have time to have emotions. Bro, you human.
Come on.
You human. You better make time because they will come up and they'll explode. You're going to snap. You're going to have this horrific moment if you don't have a healthy way to get them out. So I think we definitely got to begin as men to be more honest about our feelings. Be more expressive in a constructive way instead of just shutting down and then finding that safe haven or that escape in other things outside of our woman or our household and our family.
Which is a large reason why we do the Soul of a Man podcast.
There you go.
Absolutely.
To be totally honest.
For sure. I agree with that, man.
Truly to give a platform for these kind of conversations.
sure,
And what's great for me to see now, again, in addition to these sort of this sort of a public
Right.
platform, is brothers just dialoguing with each other.
That's it, man.
And holding each other accountable.
Yeah.
Flip side of that, ladies doing the same
thing, man.
And it's good to see. As a man, it's good to see sisters checking their sisters
For sure.
just like we need to check our brothers.
I agree. Let me get out of black Coach K mode and let's get into Jamall mode. I think I've learned you gotta meet people and be aligned on your values, man.
Yeah.
What do you value, bro?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? My number one value is health, mental, physical, and emotional. I'm in spiritual too. But my second one is authenticity. I got to be authentic when I come and commune with brothers.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear about your job all the time. I don't want to hear about the next business proposition you got going on. We need to find time to talk about that. But if you done made it, I'm trying to make it.
Yeah.
And every time I come around you talking about how good you're doing in business,
Yeah.
what I feel like.
Right.
I'm like, man, I don't have nothing to add to the conversation. So you know what? I'm gonna stay home. I'm gonna go find some other unhealthy way to have an outlet, right?
Yeah.
And it's probably gonna put me in a situation I don't want to be in. So I had to really have a talk with my homeboys. Like, man, I really want to be able to be vulnerable without judgment. I'm feeling like you trying to find a way to capitalize or think less of me.
Yeah.
I got to tell you what I'm going through, man. If I don't find a way to tell you what I'm going through and I'm holding it in, I'm going to erupt, and it ain't going to be good for me or nobody else. So I think authenticity is one of the things that we're missing from our conversation with men. Yeah.
So, question for you.
Yes, sir.
If people want to connect with the Lakeview Community Alliance, lend assistance, whether it's financial, whether it's physical, whether it's mental, whatever it is, how can they go about doing that?
Yeah, 3 ways. Number one, we have our website, www.lnacharlotte.org. You can check out all the programmings there. You can send us direct messages from our website there if you want to volunteer. We would definitely encourage you all to do that, and you can see all our programs, everything that we're involved in there. Next is we have a fundraising page, right?
Okay.
We have that page is called give.classy.com/Lakeview. You can go on there, read the story, see some videos, and you can give. You can sign up to give one time, you can sign up to give monthly, you can sign up to give quarterly, biannually, so on and so forth. And then last but not least, man, the merch. I've always fascinated by the Nike Live Strong movement when I was growing up. And they was fighting against cancer, the physical cancer, right? And Nike had these bands, and they had 1 million of them. They were selling for $1 to try to help raise $1 million for the Live Strong Foundation. Always fascinated by that, right? And I was like, man, I'm going to create my own Live Strong one day. So now my clothing brand is called Living Statements, right? Because like in the Bible, they say we're supposed to be living epistles, walking testimonies, right?
Yeah.
I'd rather see a sermon than hear one any day, right? So that's what the brand is all about, being the sermon, letting your life be your statement, right?
Say that again.
Yeah. Let your life be your statement, man. I'd rather see a sermon any day than hear one. And I think that's what men have to do in this in this circle. Show me who you are. Don't always tell me who you are, right? So with each merch that you buy, 10% of the funds go back into LNA to build what we call community impact organizations. We're starting with Lakeview, but we're truly trying to build a model that can be duplicated across the city of Charlotte and hopefully across the nation, man. So everything that you wear, we say, everything you say, do, and wear, you should make a statement.
You know what, brother? You actually answered my question about how to take this from Lakeview to the nation. You've already answered, so
There you go.
There
you go.
What I will say is 2 things, man, before we close out. Well, actually 3 things. First thing is thank you.
For sure.
Thank you
y'all
for coming
having
on
me.
the pod. Thank you for the work you're doing in the community.
For sure.
Yes.
I can't thank you enough for that.
Thank you, man.
Number 2, you're going to definitely be welcome back anytime you want to come back, man, you have a platform here.
For sure.
As long as we have it, you have it.
Definitely.
Number 3, and I think I can speak for my podcast partner. We want to take the Soul of a Man, or bring the Soul of a Man to your area, to your community.
Come on, we'd love to have you.
We don't want to do it here. We want to come right to the community to do the Soul of a Man podcast.
Yeah.
So people can get a fresh set of eyes on what
sure.
you're doing, the great things you're doing.
For sure.
If you'll have us.
Definitely, man. I would love to have you all there, man. We got some good brothers there in Charlotte doing some great work. My big bro mentor, brother Adrian Sunjata. I would definitely recommend y'all getting him on the pod, man. He brings in my brother Don Thomas. Does great work, man. These brothers have an analysis, and I love sitting down and learning from them, man. One thing I learned from Adrian is, man, we value people and planet over profit.
One more time.
Yeah, we value people and planet over profit. And a lot of times when we're talking about the buy back, the block movement, blockchain, and all this stuff, sometimes we value profit over people. You got to speak to people's pain before you speak to their potential. There's no other way to organize. I think us as a black people, we in that 70s movement, the moving on up, the Superfly, the black exploitation, we started speaking to what we could be too much, and we forgot to connect on what we all going through, right? They say black people are not a monolith. Our pain is.
Yeah.
Our pain is. When you talk to black men, most of us have been through the same things. Yeah. When you talk to black women, most of them have been through the same things. Now your personality, your culture, where you come from may be different, but our pain is the same. And if we can find that way to connect, I think what we can build from that will be beautiful. And I think it can be duplicated in other black neighborhoods across the nation, man. So we would love for y'all to come to Lakeview, look at some of the things we got going on there, because I think what's happening in Lakeview is definitely going to spur a movement across the nation, for sure.
Good deal.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Well,
You're a
ladies
phenomenal
and gents,
young brother, man.
Yeah, man. We got
doing
another one
it.
in the books. This brother's killing it.
Yeah, man.
Doing it.
The Black Coach K,
Yes,
we
sir.
appreciate you being on the Soul of a Man podcast.
Yeah.
Hey, we're going to put those links to the website,
Yes.
links to Given on
Yes.
the actual episode, so look out for those.
Yes.
Hey, man, if you got any kind of a heart, I don't care where you live in this country, if you're watching this, help this brother out. He's doing great things, and man, can't wait to have you back on the show.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's been real.
Thank
It's
you.
been fun.
Yes, sir.
We're out.
Appreciate y'all, man. Peace.